Welcome back to MGS4, Guns of the Patriots. So,
gameplay.
Yes. All right. Let's continue looking for liquid Ocelot. Okay. The feature that I was looking for is not there yet. So hold on. Let's move.
Sometimes whenever someone says the title, sometimes I mishear them and them saying "gums of the Patriots." And I'm like, I don't want to see the Patriots' dead teeth.
To be fair, Graves, this involves old people, so
Yeah.
I mean, they're dead. I don't want to see their gums. They probably don't have any left.
If anything, nanomachines that regulate, potential fake teeth will actually not be too far-fetched for this universe.
I mean, again, by the time of this game and Rising, nanomachines are essentially the equivalent to magic. Like, I don't think there's anything that they can't do with enough research.
At this point, yeah. All right, let's. There you go. So basically, just keep moving towards your destination on your map. You can always check it in the pause menu. So maneuvering in this game is very easy. You always know exactly where to go because the map system is very useful, as you can see there. See, it literally tells
Crawling on the ground.
Go on.
Crawling on the ground. What are you, a snake?
Crawling on.
If I wanted to know what it felt like to be an old man, I'd go to work with a bad back. There's my MGS4 experience.
It's okay, Dwebs. How about this, Dwebs? We can apply a dragon. We can pull a Dragon Ball Z. I can switch bodies with you, so you can witness what it's like to be on an older body.
Oh, being an old man is having a bad back? Oh, so that means that I was an old man that time when my mattress was broken and it was an absolute terror on my back.
Well, Jova, I did get a sore back from playing Sonic Lost World on the 3DS, so I can...
not as bad as your back would probably be from playing Sonic Riders... Sonic
Free Riders.
Well, I did got bad neck pain when I watched Balto 2, does that count?
Sure, why not?
Wait, okay, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Balto 2, how does that work?
I mentioned that during the Secret of Nin 2 commentary at the beginning, Joe, since Sushiro asked me if I would actually had pain watching television. Sorry.
Welcome to things that shouldn't make you sick, but do.
War?
War is hell.
I mean,
thank you, Jim Carrey.
Hi, Mark II.
Takon, maybe you should try to have a flying model next time for V3.
Otacon.
How do I know it's you and not Liquid having killed the real Otacon and disguising himself as it?
Metal Gear.
Snake, help! I'm trapped inside this.
He said it, guys. He said it.
Snake, help! I'm trapped inside this thing. Help!
And yeah, as you can see through the flashes there, that design in particular is based on Metal Gear Rex.
So it's supposed if the dinosaur peril is supposed to be a thing, it's supposed to be a constant hiatus.
Well, remember, Metal Gear Rex was designed by Otacon, so...
So, Otacon, does that thing come with portable guns or anything?
It comes with some tools, but not anything that can help Snake fight the bad guys now.
It's not like the droid from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
And just like Otacon had a...
Here's our feature.
had a stealth suit in the first game, this Mark II can also go invisible, so it will be...
Hey, look at that, Snake! Now you look even more like dear old Dad.
Okay, so...
the eye patch now.
So this is the solid eye. Basically, this is Otacon's all-in-one binoculars. So basically, you don't need to have binoculars like Big Boss had in Snake Eater, because this much more advanced Snake Eye is much better. Sorry, solid eye, solid eye.
Isn't it kind of ironic? In Snake Eater, the eye patch was to be a sign of a bout of weakening, loss of depth perception and all that. Here, gaining the eye patch actually improves our vision.
Well, this is a different Snake, so...
But again, they give him an eye patch. I do wonder if the idea is again to show that Snake is becoming more like dear old dad.
So in a sense, potentially.
Here's a tranquilizer.
Ooh, an improvement to his SOCOM. Nice.
And a tranquilizer gun. So if you want to try a no-kill, playthrough, there's your gun for using it.
Gonna go for that big boss rank, eh?
No, not in this one. This is a war. We have to,
Again, I do love how the big boss rank does call for you not killing people, which, again, some call me Johnny
at the
Found.
end of the day, it demonstrates, efficiency on the battlefield, potentially. I get the idea, the thought process behind it, that if someone is skilled enough to complete a mission and purposely avoiding, killing someone, that deserves more than just a random Rambo who shoots everything on screen.
And I suppose, to be fair, before he went rogue, Big Boss was actually that awesome guy who, for the most part, managed to pull off missions without having to kill people, so...
I've got a question actually, since I'm not sure about to get this playthrough. In terms of box art covers for this game, which do you prefer, the US one or
the European one, because you cannot beat Yoshi Shinkawa. It's that simple.
Is the European one the same one of the Japanese one, or is it still different?
I think it might have been shaded differently, but the Japanese and European ones are roughly the same.
Yeah, like to me, it makes little sense to have a cover for Metal Gear if that is not an Yoshi Shinkawa drawing, because I mean, it's just like it's Yoshi fucking Shinkawa. So
the same thought process of the Final Fantasy covers of having instead a concept art in an artistic kind of way rather than just having a character model. I get the only major idea why American covers stuck with that since the early days was something more because...
hold on, I have to explain this. Starting now with the Mark II, we can always check at any point during the game how Sunny's doing, and right now she's fixing a robot, because as you can probably guess, being raised by Otacon, obviously Sunny has become quite a prodigy when it comes to handling machines.
Well, given what we find out later, wasn't she kind of already a machine prodigy before she came across Snake and Otacon?
Well, as far as the game tells us,
well, I can't say because that spoils the circumstances with her, but, given the circumstances she was under, it seemed like she was already a prodigy with programming.
I can mention this because off context doesn't spoil anything. Otacon later on will mention that she spent her entire childhood in the computer I'm not going to explain why, because now that would actually involve spoiler stuff. But there is one line for Otacon that does imply that, yeah, she's been on her computer her whole life. Although, let's face it, Jova, like being raised by Otacon and Snake, obviously Otacon is going to, and after when we see her in Rising, where she's officially now named Sonny Emmerich, it becomes hard to put one and one together and say that, yeah, Daddy Otacon taught her well. So
I definitely believe that he taught her well. My only point is like, well, given what we find out about her past, I think she was kind of already a bit of a prodigy. Okay, maybe she wasn't a prodigy with machines, but she definitely had she was definitely a tech prodigy by the time she met Snake and Hal.
I don't know the circumstances, but maybe it's just a case of him helping her fine-tune her skills.
All right.
I'll be able to explain more when we find out what Sunny's whole deal.
Oh, there you go. Now she's on the computer. Okay, Jova. That reminds me, Jova. In the last part, I actually forgot to tell you this. But as you guys might have noticed, if you were paying attention to the camouflage menu that I just went through, you can actually make the octo camo put it on manual, so that you pick whatever color manually in the menus like you would in Snake Eater.
There we go.
It's just that by default it's on auto, because remember the whole point of this was because they wanted to address that complaint. So
yeah,
I personally don't mind the process being automatic. I mean, it works fine for me. I don't really have an issue with that, honestly. It makes things go by quicker, so I'm not complaining.
I do think it's at least nice that they left the choice, depending on how players may prefer it one way, players who like to micromanage, players who don't or whatnot, or heck, even people who want to maybe try and challenge themselves by going with the most blatant suit whatsoever.
Hold on. Solid Eye. So you can switch modes by opening... Okay. In fact, let me actually explain the Solid Eye. The Solid Eye has 3 as modes. Normal, Binos, which binoculars, and night vision mode, which is like this, so you can see better in the dark if you're in a dark place. Any thing that doesn't... Every time the Solid Eye is equipped, it decreases battery. In fact, you can see the battery gauge on the bottom left screen, on the bottom left of the screen. So every time, however, the battery will charge automatically. So basically, here's what I recommend. Every time you're not using the Solid Eye, unequip it. Only equip it when you actually want to use it for whatever reason. If you're just moving around and with no need for the Solid Eye, just unequip it so that the battery will charge automatically.
Anyway, going back to
Also,
our earlier point.
look at that. He's a proper snake now. Look at that.
Yes.
And look at that ass. See, I told you, we get a lot of good snake ass in this game. So, all of you fanboys and fangirls who like your snake ass, there you go. You got plenty of ass in this game. There's nothing wrong with that. So.
Yeah, sorry, Jeremy. Your point will have to wait. You've got an ass to go.
I remember when Nintendo removed it in Smash and everyone had a meltdown.
Yeah.
Which is funny, given what they let a lot of other sexy characters get away with, but then again, that was DLC, so maybe they had learned their lesson.
I don't know, but they did put the socks on Fire and me, bro.
Please, that only made them more hot. And besides, despite them putting more spandex on them, they still let them keep the tonnage.
Indeed.
But yeah, you may have noticed that eye patch is similar to what David Hayter was wearing in the trailer.
Yes.
And the suit is known as the Octo suit, and we saw a bit about octopi in one of those trailers. Like I mentioned, methinks there may have been foreshadowing going about.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so as usual, okay. Well, not as usual when you take down an enemy and if you stun them, the higher the probability of them dropping something. So again, the game rewards you for more methodical play compared to the more aggressive style.
These guys are just doing their job, so hey, let's make like Metal Gear Solid 3 and play like a good guy.
I get that they have a war they need to fight, but I need to save the world, which I'm pretty sure counts as a higher priority, so I'm going to have to take these guys down. Sorry.
Well, yeah, just like put them to sleep. Not, too much to sleep. Just give them a nap instead of Eternals.
Yeah, sure. Again, just like in the previous games, when they're asleep, they drop those little. They have those little cartoony Z's. So.
After all, and hey, as Metal Gear Solid 3 taught us, sometimes it's best not to kill everyone.
Indeed.
Anyway, to finish the 2 points from before, again, I get the idea in general American covers prefer, to showcase the technical level of the game with an in-game model. As a European myself, I really don't see too much of the point, but if focus groups actually believe it actually increased sales, there's not much more that I can say other than, I prefer what they do here.
To be fair, if I recall correctly, that was mainly a Sony thing, because I think they also did that with the American copy of Nintendo.
Nintendo tends to do that. Most of the Nintendo 64 covers did probably showcase also stuff like the models,
Yeah.
I'm talking more so around the time date of this game. Like, yeah, with the 64, definitely that was Nintendo's thing. I think by like 6th and 7th gen, that was Sony's thing doing that on American covers, because if I recall correctly, they did that for the American cover of Eco as well, showing...
Yeah, I don't like the American cover of Eco at all.
With Eco, it was unfortunately an emergency because Eco was released far before in the United States but in Europe, and by the point the Giorgio De Chirico inspired, painting was not ready yet, so we had to use placeholders with the models, which unfortunately are ugly and do not represent anything in the game.
If I recall correctly, though, back then that was considered state-of-the-art, so it was like an advertisement of how good the game could look.
Again,
it's
just like the CGI in 500 Spirits Within. But instead, to answer what you said about in regards to the first point, when I watched Valto 2 on TV, it was a case where I was forced essentially in the TV of the kitchen because my parents were busy seeing something else in the living room. As such, I had to sit down and rotate my head 45 degrees up. And unfortunately, I forgot to actually tune it down because it was a case where there were no commercial breaks. So 90 minutes later, I was like, oh!
It's pretty dark.
Alright, and now we're in a malicious safe house.
One of the few times where people would have relished a commercial break.
And yeah, like Otacon said, it's recommended to use the night vision mode of the solid eye in this
It's
one.
not a sewer.
Well, we already kind of went through a sewer in the previous game too, so...
Yeah.
Remember too...
this is basically your equivalent to Batman's detective mode, sorry.
Basically, yeah. Well, remember, this game predates Arkham Asylum by a year. So, yeah. Arkham Asylum was 2009, right? If I remember correctly.
I don't know who did it first, probably, but both these and Arkham Asylum popularized.
Either 2008 or 2009. I'm pretty sure it was one of those 2 years. But
Asylum came out in 2009, but I'm pretty sure that the two games were in development around similar
And
time.
again, I'm pretty sure there was at least one game that did it before these people were...
Sure. But as for the cover stuff, remember too. Remember that old debacle with Curious Village, where Level 5 had an issue with the European cover of Curious Village being just puzzle stuff and didn't advertise anything about the story aspects of the game, and Level 5 took an issue to that, but Nintendo didn't budge, saying, no, the game will sell a lot more in Europe if we have this cover in. And to Nintendo's credit too, Europe is where the game sold the best. So I guess they know what...
There's a lot that happened behind closed doors that we just don't know, nor do we probably understand.
I swear, if the walls could talk...
It makes me wonder if Akira Hinu had somehow not heard of Dr. Kawashima's brain training.
No, he did do it. Well, he obviously do it. It's more so that he wanted to advertise that, unlike Dr. Kawashima's brain training, he wanted to emphasize that this is not just puzzles, that it also has a big focus on narrative. So he wanted that to be at the focal point of the marketing as well, because obviously because all that, let's face it, I mean, what separates Layton from other games of its genre on DS is the narrative aspect. That's what go on.
I was gonna say it's because the main character is wearing a hat and Dr. Kawashima isn't.
Sure.
They need reinforcements up top. You ready to roll? Yeah, I'm good. Great. Let's go. Right behind you.
Oh crap. Let's hide in here. Alright. Let's go. Alright, so basically we should be relatively safe in here because, it's a safe house. GSR. Oh, come on, Diz. What could possibly go wrong?
As long as you don't hear the sound of a cow, you're safe.
Alright. Yeah, Jova's got a point. Oh.
Why a cow?
Remember, Shira, those little mini Metal Gears we're finding in Part 1, Shira, they make the sounds of a cow because Kojima's brand of humor is like that. Shira, just remember, Shira, this is the guy who introduced a new element in Death Stranding called Like-Sin, that you get more the more likes you get. So that's just Kojima being Kojima. Just roll with it.
Oh, Pedro. So if it's called Like-Sin, it's okay, but if it's unobtainium, that's too ridiculous.
Honestly, I will argue Like-Sin is funnier.
I mean, I'm fine with both, but oh my god, a James Cameron and Kojima collaboration.
Not to mention too, the tone of Kojima's games is much more balanced in terms of having just as much humor as it does have seriousness, unlike Avatar, which takes itself uber duper seriously. So I will argue there's also a tonal difference between both stories.
I mean, I'll give Avatar credit. The unobtainium stuff, that legit. I feel like even the movie caught on with that stuff, like,
Maybe or not,
Water barely mentions it at all.
the second movie dismisses it entirely, but it gives a good reason why it wouldn't, instead of just,
Sure.
putting it under the rug.
And there you go.
But course.
The AI continues to be super good. So go on.
Now, simply put, they could have done it either way, but I don't think they really just do it due to fan complaint, because I keep stating what I say. It's not really supposed to be, a joke or even unintentionally funny. It's supposed to be, basically a running trope between the sci-fi community. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Like, Unobtainium's kind of like,
If anything, it's not too much. Again, it's essentially the go-to name when you need to get to an element that's not on the periodic table, and you just, want to give it a fancy name. That's all.
Sure.
it's like how you see a lot of companies in media called Acme, because Acme is legit a patent-free name for a company, in case, you want to come up with a company but don't want to pay royalties. It just so happened that the most famous version of that is tied to the Looney Tunes, of course.
It's like it's one of those things where I feel it's just one of those things where I feel like there could, like the first movie specifically, I feel like there was a bit of a lack of self-awareness on part of the first movie, particularly.
But yeah, like I said, I could totally see a collaboration between Kojima and Cameron turning out
Death
something
Stranding
interesting.
adds some minor element of environmentalism in it.
Yeah.
Because again, without give too many spoilers, there is a reason why particular big monsters that you do fight, are based on big animals. Not all of them, but most of them based on aquatic life.
How about this, Teo? Let's compromise. Let's all agree that Renesmee is the stupidest name ever given to anything.
So at least it's okay. So I get the definitive answer that story isn't okay.
Oh no! I've told this before too. At least there's a reason for why she's called Story. The logic Stephanie Meyer came up with for Renesmee is so beyond nonsensical. It's just like.
That was the first mistake, probably.
I mean, the problem with the story name in Lady in the Water is not so much why she's called Story. It's more so the fact that it's on the nose. It's there's still a logic to it. It's just that it's one of those things where, trust me, Teo. Like I've told you before, I'm much more concerned with the overtones of indulgence by him casting himself as the savior of the land. So.
He's literally the Jesus Christ of it, because...
Trust me, Teo. Sorry.
Okay. Bringing it back to Renesmee. Here's my big problem with Renesmee. The fact that you're making shipping names look better by comparison.
Hold on, Job. I have to interrupt you because we just found ourselves the best item in the game, obviously, as we all know.
Rats?
Of course.
No, not that one. Alright, so this is still operating on the same system, so I have to actually equip it first. Where is it? There you go. The cardboard box.
Yep. It's back.
For your
better than ever.
For your sneaking...
Some ship names are cute.
For your...
No, sure. Normally, I'm okay with shipping names, provided that they can be clever, essentially. What I'm saying is that Renesmee makes even the most stock of shipping names look good by comparison.
This is the iPod. You can unlock music for it.
Also, to mention something also tied to this game, if you forgot, since it was released also on the same time in Kojima production and some involvement in it, you can also unlock the Solid Eye as a cosmetic, extra bit for Gabriel in the first Castlevania Lords of Shadow game.
Neat.
Basically.
That's pretty cool.
Konami and all that. That works out well.
Fine by me.
Actually, that's a good thing that I didn't ask you, Pedro, because I forgot actually. What does inputting the Konami code in this game does?
I forgot. It's been so long. I don't usually go out of my way to do it.
And again, knowing to be fair, considering the quantity of cheats that you use, you probably should know something like that. But
but it's been a long time.
Knowing Kojima, he will probably be wanting to do something like that. Go on, Jova.
Let's see, the Konami code for Metal Gear Solid 4. Let's see. Okay, so this is where it does something when fighting a certain boss, essentially.
Oh, so it's spoilery. Okay, well, we can save it for when it happened.
Yeah, just save that for when it happens then. Indeed.
I will say this though, it's a code that only works on Liquid Easy, Naked Normal, and Solid Normal difficulty levels.
Ranger.
How weirdly specific.
I know, right?
So here's our cardboard box.
As Nick himself told us, treat it carefully because it will save your life.
Exactly. Remember, it's like Snake said in Metal Gear Solid 2. You treat your card box like a woman. Okay? Treat her gently. And she will also treat you well. So, white phosphorus grenade. There you go.
Who taught you that, Snake? Your mom?
Um,
Might be interesting to finally get to meet his mom at some point.
See, trust me, Teo. I have a lot, and I do mean a lot bigger issues with Lady in the Water than the story name thing.
Yeah, I think I get it.
I wish story was the only issue I had with that movie.
I swear, Lady in the Water might be, still to this day, the most pretentious piece of self-indulgent media I have seen.
Like the story on its own, the story concept
I
on
have a lot. Again, it's similar to what you said, Pedro, in regards to Edward Scissorhands, an idea of a modern fairy tale.
Yeah, I like the idea. I just don't think it's particularly well executed. And again, if it wasn't for the overtones of indulgence with the critic and M. Night Shyamalan not being a cameo this time, but instead being the protagonist, I wouldn't even mind the movie too much, but like the fact that the entire movie comes across as an excuse for Shyamalan to talk about how amazing and you guys and how you guys just don't get me.
Okay.
I mean,
I would just have to ask, did he always have that movie in the pipeline, or did he only make it because at that time he was starting to become a laughingstock after?
it was a direct reaction. There's actually a book. Sorry, there's actually a book that was released. Joe, I forgot its name. Where a person talks about how apparently the reception to The Village kind of broke something in him. Because remember, before The Village, he was getting nothing but non-stop praise.
Okay, Signs was the start where some people were starting to wonder, okay, is this guy a mad genius or is he just mad? But by the time of Village, that was when,
Some people, Jova, but you have to nowadays maybe, but you have to understand, Jova. Back when Signs first came out, it was praised like mad.
And it sold a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's literally like that one Ratatouille meme. Gets criticized once, dies.
Like, okay, I do have to wonder, okay, maybe it wasn't so much people were starting to catch on, or people who did were seen as contrarians, but maybe, in hindsight now, people are viewing Signs as the first sign that all was not necessarily good in Paradise.
Oh, here we go.
By the time of...
I recommend you look up, Jova, the book, The Man Who Heard Voices, or How M. Night Shyamalan Risked His Career on a Fairy Tale. And it's this movie about this guy called Michael Bamberger, who knew Shyamalan personally, and he says that Shyamalan didn't react to the critical reception of The Village well at all, and that's where The Village came from. He really got really butthurt over the poor reception of The Village, and that's why Lady in the Water is this big, you guys just don't get me, I'm a genius, you guys.
Honestly, the whole story around Lady in the Water is interesting because he got into a hissy fit when Disney dared to question the idea behind Lady in the Water, which came off as a self-indulgent piece of crap, so he huffed off. They were still willing to fund it, but because his ego was so big, he couldn't stand the thought that they didn't take it seriously, which in turn led him to go to Warner Brothers, and then Warner Brothers dropped him after The Lady in the Water, so then started his epic of having to jump from studio to studio until he probably had his biggest downfall, Last Airbender.
Remember, this didn't stop at Lady in the Water. Like, if you go back, you can still see them on YouTube. If you look at a certain interview about the reception to Last Airbender, back when the movie just came out, he even said, I don't know what's going on with the critics, me and the American critics, they just don't get, and the interviewer even goes, they just don't get you. They never got me. Okay, first of all, Shyamalan, that's a lie. Your first, like, Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and Signs were critically acclaimed, so that statement that the American critics never got you is just plain false.
Also, I was around to remember that he kept talking about how Last Airbender was totally gonna get a sequel. He did that for years on end, despite the crushing negative reception.
Hold on, Joel, I have to mention this. We find ourselves a Playboy magazine. Now
Okay, you know, some people have needs.
Yeah.
In the middle of a wardrobe?
There you go. So you can. There you go. You can.
They gotta remember what they're fighting for. Damn it.
Basically, if you read a Playboy magazine, it will restore your psych gauge too.
I thought, Joba, the supposed American values were mom, apple pie, and the girl next door.
So there you go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're under heavy stress, porn is the way to go.
Well, it is good for stress relief, you know, they say.
Yeah. No, Joba,
Hey.
what makes you think I'm joking when I say that?
Also, Tio, to quote the old pep rallies from the war days, just want to remind you boys what you're fighting for back at home.
Porn will save you in the middle of a war, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
It was me, Barry. I was the one who reduced the horniness arts so that would lower your adrenaline levels just enough to slow you down.
I actually know a more non-safe for work version, but I will not say it on commentary.
Yeah, I'm trying to not go too graphic with that.
But yeah, remember he even said like he even tried to say that, oh, don't you see? My problem is that the American critics want a movie that's more eclectic, more, you know, like more action-packed and shit. Whereas, you know, this is just how I do things, you know. And he even mentioned Hitchcock and Stanley Kubrick and like those are my teachers. And I'm just like, okay, the fact that you're even comparing yourself to those two already tells me that you're fucking insane.
Well,
Like,
remember,
Okay, to his credit-
he did thought himself to be, and was, you know, the press did not help, you know, in encouraging him to be the next Spielberg.
oh yeah.
Yeah, to his credit, part of that was the media really hyping him up to be the
Yes.
next Spielberg back when he was on his streak. So I can't say it's entirely his fault. I will say this though, dude kind of went for a villain arc. Like,
That's
he
true.
literally went, I'll show you all, and yeah, in turn Lady in the Water was made, and it only pretty much went downhill from there until Last Airbender, and even still, I'd argue after wasn't that much better.
That's true, Jova. But remember to give Makoto Shinkai some credit. Even he doesn't fall for that, because remember, when people started praising your name as the next best thing since sliced bread, he himself even said, "Guys, calm down. Come on, guys. Let's not go overboard with it."
You know, that's the ironic thing about
Whenever so. Yes, people were calling him the next Spielberg was it Times or was it Newsweek? I forgot which magazine it was. They were calling them the next Spielberg, but he didn't have to take you know that seriously. He could have just done what Shinkai does and just say, guys, you're exaggerating. Come on, let's not do that.
You know, Shinkai's an interesting case. Like, when it comes to the build-up of his movies, and again, maybe this is just strictly how he comes off in interviews or whatnot, but he seems kind of like he's full of himself, but then when the movie comes out, he is often always his harshest critic.
Well, I'll answer you in a moment, because this is actually a cutscene we're going to introduce another major character.
I have you
Under my skin.
A monkey.
a golem monkey by the looks of it.
And no, surprisingly, we don't have Frank Welker doing monkey noises.
And probably
I am
just
amazed.
do stock monkey sound effects.
Well, usually when you have animals in something, you get Frank Welker.
Or use stock sound effects, they're cheaper to do.
Meet Drebin.
Who are you?
How do you know my name?
No friend.
Okay, actually, I think the monkey does have a voice actor. They don't sound like stock sound
You're
effects.
not PMC. I'm a weapons wholesaler. All shapes, all sizes. But
A
there's
war
no need to worry,
merchant.
there's all
Yep.
my
Tony
shit
Stark.
laundered.
I cleaned it. Those things were dirty.
That is one way of putting it, Libs, actually. Ooh, apple.
See this grenade? It's actually an apple.
Did you steal that from Adam?
You see, I take
Maybe.
IDs like the PMCs use and make some mods. Then you can use them without having to match IDs.
This is what the modding community has come to.
War profiteering? Damn. Things
Yep.
are really dire in the future.
Project 06 was just a sign of how far things could
All
go.
over the world. Not that I ever met any of them personally. Me, I'm Drebin number 893.
He's voiced by Kari Payton? Payton? I don't know how to
Carrie
pronounce
Payton.
that. Carrie Payton.
I've heard his voice somewhere else, so let me check.
He's Cyborg from Teen Titans.
Oh, okay, booyah.
And pretty much Cyborg in a lot of other stuff because,
De
yeah,
facto
he's...
voice actor of him, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also Aqualad in Young Justice.
Consider it well.
Yeah.
Well,
They,
there
of
you go.
course, got him back for Injustice, so of course he says booyah at some point.
Mm-hmm. In between fights.
Booyah.
And he's in the Loud House, like almost everyone in his
Ooh,
cast seems
a nice
to be,
M4.
apparently.
Also, sure,
Remember to always
I think
booyah
it's,
back, people.
I think you
yeah,
mean
it's still an
sure.
it's still an assault rifle, but I don't think it's supposed to be a variant of the Kalashnikov.
Also, sure, I think you mean...
Yeah.
Not like that government.
Alright.
Yes, my pronunciation is a little off.
Relax. That barrel's clean.
Trust anyone these
With
days.
And yes, the scenes of Drebin are yet another excuse for Hideo Kojima to put Motozada Mori to work.
Flip up sight. Rail system. Not bad.
And yet, Snake doesn't seem to be as big a gun nerd as his dad.
It's like the fact that instead of being super excited like Big Boss was, he's more methodical. He recognizes the different parts, in the features of a gun, but doesn't geek over and just say, this works, good.
I can't pull the trigger.
You know, that is the
Hold
ironic
on.
thing.
Notice how my sight gauge decreased because the gun didn't work because you couldn't pull the trigger. Basically, when Snake
Sometimes they don't really
gets disappointed or sad because of anything, his sight gauge will. Because remember, the sight gauge represents Snake's stress level. The less sight gauge he has, the more stress he has, and that's bad.
Generic soda, my favorite.
Ah, don't you just love soda, brand soda?
I'm legit surprised that they didn't broker a deal with
I
Pepsi or
have
Coke.
you.
This was 2008, Jova. Pepsi was too busy having a deal with Capcom for Bionic Commando.
Oh, right. That was
So we
a
just
thing.
have Pepsi now.
It's a side of AT.
I'm drinking Dr. Pepper at the minute, so
We have
The looks of it.
now
Oh, yeah,
remember.
the point.
Remember, only Shaq Fu gets access to Pepsi apparently.
So yeah, the point is that because Snake's nanomachines are incompatible with newer generation, he either needs an upgrade or to get stuff.
I love this bit. You have last gen nanomachines. You see, Snake, your nanomachines are outdated, and that's why you can't use these
Update your
guns.
nanomachine.
Update your nanomachines, Snake.
I have to buy directly from a Chinese Nvidia factories for $4,000 or something. Oh, sorry, Kodak.
Sorry, got a call.
Snake is like, leave me alone, I'm busy.
Automaticon.
I don't particularly like the guy, but it looks like we'll need his help with those ID guns. Sonny's been doing a little sleuthing for us. Drebin, a well-known gun launderer in war economy circles. He's a businessman who deals mainly in selling black market firearms to small PMCs and local militia. Somalia, the Balkans, Lebanon, Darfur, Chechnya, Timor, Peru, the Punjab, Kashmir, Colombia. This guy really gets
No
around.
shit.
How's he pull it off, anyway?
You can create a non-ID gun by replacing the ID recognition chip with a counterfeit version. This enables you to bypass the
Just
ID
like with
recognition
anything, when
process
it comes
and
to
use
be
the gun.
manufactured, with a bit
The
of
problem
tinkering,
is
you
that
can
there's
make
still
it
a record
region
of the
free.
chip being
Yep.
replaced on the system
It's
side.
just a matter of how much
Drebin's
you
an
have to work
employee
with.
of AT Security. He must have connections on the inside,
I
erasing
just get
records.
the original version of it and
the
bam,
Patriots are
there's my
involved
ID
somehow.
check.
We'll mention something more when the part ends because it
If the
requires
Patriots
more
were running the system
explanation.
from behind the scenes, then a weasel like Drebin would be a real pain in their collective ass.
Can he be trusted?
Remember, Drebin's a green collar. He makes his living off the war economy. He doesn't let emotions get in the way of business, and he never gets his own hands dirty. The only thing he trusts is money. I share your concern, but what if
Money
we keep him
doesn't
at arm's
betray
length?
you.
Use
That
him
is
only to
true,
get
but
intel,
considering the
supplies
current
we
war
need.
instability,
Keep it
I'm not
strictly
sure how
business.
much the money gets paid as actual value.
Okay, I guess we'll. So yeah, Drebin will be our weapon shopkeeper.
Okay then, let's talk business. This
To defeat
is a war
the
zone.
terrorist.
There's product coming in here by the truckload. And you'll be picking up a lot of guns in the field, I'm sure. Whatever guns you don't need, I'll take and buy them off you. That'll earn you points you can cash in for service.
Like what?
I'll launder your ID guns, no more locks. And I can also sell you the guns I've got in stock.
Because I'll say the sexual kind, but yeah. Or
To be fair, he is asking Snake to get in the van, so...
yeah.
Come on,
What
Snake.
kind of
Come,
service?
come on, Snake. I've got a gun for you. Come into my
you
van.
realize that I'm old.
But that's the best part.
I'm into older. I'm into older men. Nothing wrong with that. So, narc drink.
Narcola.
Narc cola. Okay.
I swear, it's not an actual word. Let me see.
It is, but it's a bit of a slur, if I recall correctly, used in the war against the...
Well,
Actually, it's informal North American slang for an official narcotics agent.
that, and it can also. I've also heard it be used narc for, like, for someone who tells on you about something. Like,
And it was a 2002 movie starring Jason Patrick with a C.
But yeah, because of what happened... Jesus Christ. Because of what happened in the first game, Snake is not too eager to get an injection, but unfortunately, he doesn't have too much of a choice. I'm sure this has no repercussions whatsoever.
Okay, Snake, you are way too trusting of people with injections.
And look, and before anyone says, wants to associate with anything, no, it's not even an excuse to, not be vaccinated properly.
remember,
Just
Dwebzy.
know what you're getting injected.
Well, Dwebzy, in order to use the non-ID guns, we have to update our nanomachines somehow.
You'd be better off eating something.
You're the monkeys, eh? You're a mean. There we go.
There you see.
Oh god.
Problem.
And this restores our sight gauge.
Go on when you pick up an ID gun.
You know what security system I put in that thing?
Go on.
Well,
You name
I'd have a chip inside it, so that if you're not the correct person to have it, and especially if you're the enemy, the gun actually fires backwards and shoots you in the head like a ballistic.
well, it doesn't work like that, but it deliberately jams for the sake of not having the enemy not gaining, the weapons.
But
So it's
just have
something
it-
like
just-
that.
Just how it shoot him in the head, then he definitely won't be able to use it, or anything else for that matter.
the system clamping down on things. System codes are the law now, and controls essentially absolute, paving the way for fat profits if you're willing to bend the law. Demand keeps on growing thanks to the war economy. I sell ID guns to the PMCs and state armies, and naked guns to terrorist groups and
we shoot him?
paramilitaries.
No.
And these
He's part of the good guys, just technically. I mean, okay, more like
You
a.
can also
No.
shoot the merchant in Resident Evil
Okay.
4 and it will always pop up later. Right?
Well, not more. Okay, I guess good guys have a stretch. He's more like a neutral party.
PMCs
He's neither a bad guy. He's
That's
neither.
the point.
He's useful, like Otacon said. Yeah.
The line between civilian and soldier is gonna get real blurry.
And to be fair, again, this is another comment on the War of Terror. After all, as people discovered, a lot of weapons that the terrorists used was stuff that the US had sold to the country anyway.
Yep.
Wars. But hey, this war economy puts the food on my table. You're a green collar too, aren't you? Yeah, it's in your eyes. You've seen a lot of combat.
What makes you think you know me?
Nothing to be ashamed
You
of.
think you know me?
I'm the
Dun,
same.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I grew up here too. I got no interest in the outside world.
Which is why you're currently there.
All right then. If you need me, holla. We specialize in speedy service. Catch my drift?
What, you made the speedy dub in Dragon Ball Z?
Please no.
If I don't eat rice, the power won't come.
But yeah, no, I mean, I actually do like Drebin. Like, for despite how he acts, all cold and stuff, you do get the feeling that deep down the man does have a conscience and does wish that things weren't this way exactly.
I don't really get.
He has to adapt.
I don't really get cold from him. I just think he's cool.
More sleazy supposed to be, I guess.
I know. My point is like, on the outward glance, he may come off as cold, given how he acts a bit callous about how the system is. But later, and heck, even in a bit of that dialogue, you do get the feeling that he does still have a conscience, and a part of him wishes that things did not have to turn out this way.
Also, I forgot, what's the name of a monkey?
I don't think the monkey has a name too.
Let me check.
At least,
Is it?
or at the very least, if he does, I don't remember.
Oh, his monkey is called Little Gray.
Okay. I don't think they actually say it or maybe it's been a while. Maybe I forgot.
Otacon, you and Drebin both mentioned something about a war price earlier. What did you mean by that?
It's a kind of market price, one that fluctuates according to demand. Not only
Oh,
for
goody! There's a
PMCs
stock
and
market
military
based off of
industry,
how
but
well
for the
weapons are
production,
doing.
distribution, and
I
energy
mean,
supply
war economy and all.
Yep.
It's been growing by leaps and bounds, and investors are really starting to take notice.
So
As
the
the
war
fighting in any
economy
given
is
area becomes
rising. That
increasingly
must mean
intense and
America is
prolonged,
making a killing,
war
given how
price
much
goes
countries
up.
still
No
try to
doubt
go
Drebin's
after some
rates
of our
are linked to
weapons
this
for us
war
to
price.
sell to
The
them.
longer and bloodier a
Oh
battle
god, the
becomes, the higher
F-22s are
service
probably
prices
seeing
will
use
get.
in this game.
To put it another way, the quieter things are, the better the bargains. Snake,
Huh.
we'll use the Mark II to deal with Drebin from here on out. He's what you might call a street vendor. The Mark II can act as a kind of delivery boy and connect you with him.
There you go.
Can carry even the incredibly heavy equipment somehow.
Yes, we can shop online for guns in this one.
To be
Clearly,
fair,
that
we
was
could
ahead
do
of
it
its time.
already in the early 2000s thanks to the Sly games with Thief.net.
Yeah, hello and welcome to Drebin.com.
Welcome, darlings, to
Well-
the internet.
Well, considering the name of his tank is Drebin893, I guess it would be Drebin893.com most likely.
Freelance green collars.
Maybe he didn't want to be too...
Be sure
Are you
to.
sure 893 is not part of his IP address?
All right, so we have to meet up with our informants, Rat Patrol, a squad called Rat Patrol. I get it, Dibs. If you want some update on whatever new weapons I have, be sure to subscribe to my X page, Drebin893.
There you go, I found it. Little Gray, the monkey, is voiced by one of the co-composers and sound directors of the game, Shuichi Kobori. If you heard him recently, because he co-composed with a couple other people for Hi-Fi Rush.
Yep.
Nice.
I thought you were gonna say Harry Gregson Williams was the voice of the chip.
No, yeah, well, to be fair, Eric Gregson Williams made the main score, but Shuichi essentially either was the person who actually put it in the game, and decided to balance it where he put it.
Remember, Harry is the lead composer on 2, 3, and 4, but he has other.
He's more the sound director and.
Kazukima, yeah, the composers of MGS1 are still around here, so. Look at that. So yeah, like I said before.
Yes.
You can yes.
Expecting the rendering of that Playboy magazine.
Well, again, I love. So yeah, everybody, Drebin also sells Playboy magazines because, as we've just explained, when you're in a war, it helps to relieve your stress. So
Every single tactical advantage you get, soldiers, get those Playboy magazines, jack off, and raise your vitals as high as they can.
So I guess this is the Metal Gear equivalent of the whole, entertainment for the troops type of thing.
Although, to be fair, medically speaking, ejaculation does help reduce your risk
Oh, yeah,
of
it does.
prostate cancer.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go on.
That's why I love so that's why one of my favorite lines from Not Another Teen Movie is when when Molly Ringwald even says, Christopher's like, do you mind? No, I don't mind actually. I think masturbation is very healthy. So, but remember that was back in 2001, back when people were unfortunately not quite as aware of this shit as they are now. But yes, too.
Before ending the part, quickly to mention something quickly to you, Dwebs, what you said before. There is a game, I forgot specifically what is the title, which is a sci-fi game that has for its premise a distant future in which humanity sort of forgot a bit part of the technology, and because the big companies had the blueprints patented for all the spaceship, nobody can actually recreate them because the blueprints have not been cracked as a result. So, and mind you, this game was released, I think, at the end of the 2000s, so it was shockingly a bit more also predictive what things can happen.
Interesting.
Alright, everybody, tune in next time where we meet the Rat Patrol.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.